So in the preface to this book, God Talks to Arjuna by Paramahansa Yogananda, it said the book is dedicated to the Arjuna devotee within every true seeker, the Arjuna devotee. So that part of you, when we mention the word Arjuna, you will get to know Arjuna because he is one of the main principles in the Bhagavad-Gita, and he represents the self or the soul or the disciple or the student like you and me, receiving the instruction from Krishna or the Supreme Spirit or the Guru. Krishna represents all of that, or the Christ, or all of that Krishna represents. But that Arjuna self lives within you. So these teachings, like any teachings, and this whole universe is dedicated to you. And it's dedicated for you and I to begin to get more interesting in the truth that we in Source are one. That my soul and spirit are like locked on in divine communion as we speak. So we dedicate these moments and these weeks, because who knows, only God knows how long we will continue. Maybe we'll continue until we're totally soul realized. Wouldn't that be cool? Yes. And that when we are talking of Arjuna, we are actually bowing to each other. It's seeing each other as that soul, right? As that divine being. Just a few disguises has gotten in the way a little bit of wrinkle, a little bit, of body shape and size and some mental things and emotional things, but that's minor. That's minor compared to who you are. And in that preface, which I hope that you will read and read it over many, many times, I think is Dayamata's over so many years experience with that avatar Paramahansa Yogananda. And but she says right off the bat that Yogananda is the essence of the Bhagavad-Gita. He's the essence of it. So we had, living here in our town some years ago, someone who was walking, breathing Scripture. Like Christ is walking, breathing Scripture. Like Buddha is walking, breathing Scripture. Scripture comes from these embodiments, these incarnations of souls that realized they were soul through their journey. And they're now showing up completely expressing their divine nature. And you know what? There's no room in that divine nature for any thoughts that you and I spend most of our day in our human thoughts and our human situation. They have no more room there because their divine nature is so fulfilling. But here are the two things that she said about Yogananda, which really is the essence of what we're going to study. All right? Because when we talk of Yogananda too, we're talking of that Arjuna, because he and Arjuna, I believe, are one. We're talking about you. When we talk of Arjuna, we're talking about you. When we talk about Yogananda, we're talking about you. When we talk about any great personage, we're talking about you. So please receive this information like we're talking to you, not to anybody else. And we're not necessarily talking to your limited side. We're talking to your soul part. We're talking to your higher nature. Because this Gita and these 700 concise verses which make up this little kind of short scripture comparatively, it's the Spirit talking to your higher nature, your soul, in deep meditation, through intuition. So you see how little we want our heads involved in this process, because it has nothing to do with that instrument called your thinking mind at all. So we're going to see how you and I can proceed from the very beginning. You'll see in this class today how we're going to proceed from a whole new place. And if that means going back to kindergarten, to the ABCs of how I think of God, how I address my spirituality, how I go about my meditation, let's go. Let's go back to the ABC. Let's start over, in other words. Let's just wipe the slate clean and come in with really the sincerity of our being and the purity of our heart, right? And that motivation that got you here this morning. But here are the two things. That is the essence of the Gita. First of all, Yogananda, he served selflessly and untiringly. He served humanity. He served his brothers and sisters on this planet. When he was given the hermitage Does anyone want a beachside retreat? Right? If someone built it and it's right there on a perfect spot, in a perfect situation, in a perfect beach, and said it's yours, would you 1 week later say, you know what, I want it to be for everybody? He enjoyed it for 1 week himself. And then he turned it over, like everything else he turned over. He never kept money, he never kept anything. Everything because he sought God first came to him. And have you ever looked at his properties, seen his properties? Besides these gardens here, these magical gardens, he also has a center in San Diego. But at the Lake Shrine in Pacific Palisades, have you all been there? Unbelievable what God gave him because he gave himself to God. Unbelievable what came to him. And the international headquarters where I spent over 20 of my years, the rest I spent here in Encinitas, California, at this ashram. Unbelievable what God gave to him because he kept nothing for himself. So he served humanity, and then there's the other essence part of the Gita. And this is my very, very favorite. He had constant intimacy with God going on the inside. And those were the exact words that Ma uses. Constant intimacy with God. Meaning that he didn't just approach God intellectually, he approached God from his whole being, from all of his heart. That's why his love for Divine Mother was so great. So from Yogananda's standpoint, you will feel in his commentaries that there's a magnet of divine love pulling at you. Because that, quite frankly, is the only thing that's going to draw you back home, is divine love. And so the God, we can say then, of this commentary, because we're coming in from an avatar who found his self, his soul, through devotion or bhakti, is a God of love, of unconditional love. So when we say spirit, when we say God or whatever else, or master, maybe we can keep it really clean and simple for starters. Yes, there's other aspects of spirit, for sure, but what if we all just kind of say in the beginning, let's just call this higher and this source thing love. Unconditional love. And so if source is everything, then love is everything and all around us and breathing us and moving us right now. Now, I have to share with you that there's a, have you all heard of Hanuman? That monkey deity in the India pantheon of many great deities, but only one God. It's not like there's all these gods. No, there's just the unique souls that became these perfected beings. But Hanuman is noted for his unbelievable loyalty to spirit, loyalty to God. And so much so that someone was in a little conversation with him and was saying, oh, so you say that God is everywhere and everything, you say. And Hanuman said, yes. And the guy said, prove it. Prove it that he's inside of you. And so as the legend goes, then Hanuman reached in with his claws and you got it, and opened up his chest. And there sitting in his chest was the Lord Ram and Sita, which was Ram's consort, or Divine Mother, was sitting in his chest. And the man went, okay, you win. So I say that too because, you know, if we were to open up here right now and say, you know, where does God most reside? It's here in the heart. And are we able to now be able to put our consciousness more there in the heart, because that's where love resides? That's where you and I are going to experience it as an intuitive perception in the heart, this cosmic consciousness. And samadhi we will experience here as an intuitive perception in the heart. What else is talked about in this very beginning? There's the preface and there is the introduction, but it talks about that the doctrine of the Gita is that God is everything, or love is everything. That's its doctrine. Spirit is everything. It's beyond, and it's in every atom, and it's in every being, animate, inanimate, in all the manifested worlds. It's beyond it and in it. That Spirit is everything. Spirit is everything. So we're going to make that, since this first session, I think if you read on our email or on the website about this course, that this was going to be about faith this morning. Restoring our faith in these eternal truths. And so right off the bat, you can know that these eternal truths are really, really simple. And we're going to break down this one this week, that love is everything. In the manifested worlds and beyond, where your little minds can go, that it is everything. All right? And one tool that I want to bring everyone's attention to in this course, the one practice that you and I can get really good at if we have faith in it, is awareness of our breath. Awareness of our breath, okay? Because a lot of us are going to want to say, well, you know, I'm excited about to know this part of the Gita. I want to know about this battle that goes on between the good qualities and the bad qualities. And I want to know about those warriors and this and that. But you know, that's going to come. If you stay with this, we're going to get into the depths of all of this. But we're not going to until we can have a practice that is starting to feel the words, to feel the truths, such as Source is everything. Source is everything. So here's the technique I'll bring to your attention right off the bat. Remember the Karate Kid movie where he wanted to learn all the stuff, but what did he do instead? Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Until he was going, what is this all about? So what we are going to practice, or what I put out to you as a possibility for you to practice, is breath in, breath out. Breath in, breath out. Breath in, breath out. Meaning that we're going to break down these truth statements into, when a breath comes in, one word. And when a breath goes out, one word. Maybe two, if it's really connecting for you, the two words. Maybe it's three. I'll give you three. Sometimes four, but that's too many. You know why? Because you and I are sitting here right now with super conditioned, restless minds over many, 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 many lifetimes. What? There's different people saying different things about how many thoughts we think a day. 60,000, 70,000, 80,000. A lot. You don't need to. You only need to think one. God, love, or peace, or joy. And to be that feeling. And let that feeling emanate through you. Trust me, it holds a lot of power. Your soul holds so much power. God power it does. So, you have a handout there. Let's look at it. And turn to the side that says Soul Script for Gita Meditation. Okay, on the back. And the reason why we need to kind of tie breath with a mantra to starting to feel the words of the truth that we've heard before, but now we need to feel them taken deeper, is because the mind is racing. And when the mind is racing, there's no way the truth in you can be on the same page. So here's a practice that can help you a lot. You might feel the difference like right away in what you perceive as the truth that you're thinking about or meditating upon. All right? So what it is that the first word up on number 1, the I, is an inhale. And the word underneath it is an exhale. So you always start with an inhale breath. So in other words, let's just play with this for a minute. Inhale, close your eyes and just say I to yourself. Exhale, relax. Say that word relax to yourself. Inhale, the word and. Bow, exhale. Inhale, love. Exhale is carrying me. So I went with 3 words. Love, inhale, is carrying me. Love, inhale, is me. Your next inhale, thank. Exhale, you. Inhale, I. Surrender. Exhale. Inhale into. Exhale your arms. Inhale of end. Exhale list. Inhale love. Exhale ing. Inhale prayer. Exhale sense or presence. Inhale I. Exhale love you. Inhale in this. Exhale moment. All right, we did one column as just a little teaser for you. You can open your eyes. So I'm giving you just an idea of a meditation practice where you can have this right at your altar at home or in your space. We'll get so much into meditation as we go along. More in the 3rd session in this first 6 weeks. But for now, to have this and just tune yourself to Spirit, like we had an opening prayer. We called on the Great Spirit, we called on joy, we called on love. You make it your own prayer for now. And then just marry your intention and sincerity to feel the words now. We have a pretty big gap and a pretty big, what would you call it? When you're not healthy, you know? When things aren't going in, you say it in homes, dysfunctional. We have a dysfunctional relationship going on with our minds and the thoughts and the feelings. They're not connected. And they're certainly not connected to the soul. So we need to start to narrow that gap by beginning to feel the words you're thinking about. To feel them. To be with them. One at a time. And in this case, these words you will see all have to do with empowering you to remember that you are this divine being and that you are returning to the light and you're returning to the joy and you're returning to spirit bliss. Okay? So these are all empowering words because the intention is for that behind them. So I'm asking that we take this as part of our homework this week and do the script at least one time through in a meditation period in the morning, ideally when you first get up, and then sometime in the evening or even before your dinner. And just be with the practice of wax on, wax off. Breathe in, 1 word. Breathe out, 1 word. But more important than that, because that can still be mental, is to get in here. Is to get in here. God is everything. God is everything. So you will see the script is talking about, I love you in this moment, because you are here, you're everything. I'm loving you as a breath. That's our number 4 there. You are this breath. So we're acknowledging that Spirit is the breath. We're acknowledging that it is the peace of the eternal now that God is. We're acknowledging the light, the eternal light. We're acknowledging the joy of our oneness with the Father. And these things that are in parentheses next to these words can be options for you. You can use those words if you feel comfortable, or find a word that works better for you. Okay, is there any questions about what we call the soul script for Gita meditation? Does it sound like it's a possibility to start what? The process of slow down. Slow down. Because you're going to study deeper aspects of meditation as we go along, but it's all to slow down eventually the heart. So it's not even beating, because your true nature is stillness and deeper meditation. That's where God is calling you in the Bhagavad-Gita, guys, away from the restlessness of identification to thoughts and inside to your soul nature. Because you and I sit here today in a major identity crisis. Major. We're identifying with the Maya, or the magic of God as this infinite, formless spirit bliss, and then saying, I want creation, and then creating this vibration and this materialization of this infinite force that isn't a vibration at all, it's just pure bliss, and creating it to create forms that appear different, separate from that original pure spirit. And that is the Maya. That is the delusion. And then we start thinking and identifying with the form. And then this form is different from that form. Then we start analyzing and maybe judging the form and judging all the various conditions of life, right? So that becomes why we have an identity crisis. That is also called your ego. It's just your soul identified with all the stuff that's happening outwardly, which is really just the perception of you within. Okay, so is that fairly simple? Does it sound like something you might want to try? I'm telling you, if you can slow down your breath, your mind is going to slow down. And when your mind is focused on positive, one word at a time, per inhale and exhale, or 2 words, as you saw, I used 3 words here, your heart slows down. So they both work together. All right? Now turn the page over